Hi everyone, welcome to tnSportsChat presented by Lehigh Valley Health Network. I'm Patrick Matsinko. This is Emmett McCall. He's back.
From vacation.
Oh my goodness.
So you don't have to solo today.
Wow, there's nothing worse than being in a room with a phone on a tripod by yourself for about 10 minutes and trying to
You did well,
figure
Patrick.
things out.
I watched the chat. You wrapped up all our baseball, summer baseball all over with, a little Pocono. Now we're already looking ahead to fall sports.
I guess we've kind of, I guess in a lot of ways really kicked things off, especially with football this week with the heat acclimation for football teams, which started on Monday. And we also had a pair of media days just on Wednesday. So we're really kind of in the thick of it, and then official practices, everything, 2 days and everything will start next Monday.
And sports practice for everything from soccer to field hockey and volleyball, cross country, golf, tennis, everybody can begin Monday. Golf is actually going to be started less than a week from now. They'll be playing the first golf matches of the season. Tennis is a short while after that. And then we're just, 10, 15 days away from the first football games of
August
the
24th.
Season. Yeah. But you mentioned the media days. Schuylkill Football Coaches Association held theirs in Orangeburg at the Schuylkill Country Club. You were there. And this year, the Lehigh Valley Football
it was a
Hall of
National
Fame.
Football Foundation
Right.
type of program. Yeah.
They decided to have a media day for the Lehigh Valley teams, which included the Eastern Pennsylvania Conference teams and the Colonial League teams. And Brad Hurley was there. So Thursday's Times News, we have a couple of really good stories about what happened. But your take on the Schuylkill one?
I thought it was interesting, and you just think back to last year with Lehighton, right? Where Lehighton in the coaches and the media poll picked 6th last in both, and Indians ended up with an undefeated regular season win. Obviously, league division crowns, advanced to a district championship game, but you kind of look at maybe some of the stuff from that media day and you think about how maybe it provided a little bit of bulletin board material,
right,
where it's like, okay, Tom McCarroll and his staff, they knew what they had in their players, and kind of what their expectations were for the season. But you come out of a media day and people kind of think that they have teams pegged about where they might be at the end of the season, but a lot of times there are unknowns, obviously different variables that sort of play into that, certainly, but
It's still fun. It's still fun to lay it out there for the coaches. Have a poll. The media has a poll, and like you said, there's so many variables involved that you just don't know in the next 12 weeks what's going to happen. But it does get the conversation started.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it got conversation started similar to what it was at Lehighton last year, because I'm looking at the polls in front of us, and the coaches poll, Lehighton was once again picked last in Division One. A little better, they were 4th in the media poll, it provides a little incentive. It also provides a little bit for the teams that were picked at the top of the poll, which in Division One it was North Schuylkill, Tamaqua, Jim Thorpe were all kind of up there. Schuylkill, Haven, and Minersville in Division Two. It kind of puts the target on their back. So I'm sure their coaches use that as saying, hey, everybody thinks we're going to be good. They're going to be after us. We got to play.
And I think you embrace that role for a lot of these kids. And I know even getting a chance to talk to some of the Lehighton players, Chris Whiteman, who will be taking over for Cody Shear at quarterback this year, I think they're even more motivated, to not have that kind of a drop off, where maybe you think about what these kids who were maybe freshmen when Lehighton advanced to a district title game against Saucon Valley in 2015, then they kind of fell off a little bit the next year, returned to a district championship game last year. So they want, I think, to kind of prove that they can sustain that level of success.
Right, not have the big drop off from year to year and kind of, turn it into a program that just kind of reloads instead of rebuilds.
But I know we did our little preseason power poll a few weeks ago. We had Jim Thorpe, Tamaqua 1-2 for teams in our area. Looking at the media poll in Division One had Jim Thorpe first, and the coaches poll had Tamaqua second, Jim Thorpe third. So, and then Tamaqua was third in the media poll for Division I, Lehigh fourth. But yeah, I think Jim Thorpe, kind of for a lot of the reasons that we talked about, thinking about that defense, obviously you have to replace, like Mark Rosenberger told me, it's the whole middle of the offense. Center Lucas Boyle, quarterback Nick Roshak, and then you go back to tailback / quarterback Justin St. Hill. Right. So those three guys are all gone. But you think about that defense with Jacobs, with Daly, and with Mordaunt.
Speed on offense.
And he thinks they're going to be faster.
Geisinger, right? I saw that quote in the story, and they were a fast team last year, and yeah, he expects them to even be faster this year. And like you said, they have a good defense. They have a lot of speed at the skill positions, and you look at Tamaqua. We talked about them in our preseason poll, how they had all these skill people back. What I didn't realize at the time, until I read the story, is they have 4 or 5 offensive linemen returning, 3 of the 4 defensive linemen, and then you add in Knobloch and the skill people.
Oh yeah,
and they're loaded. And North Schuylkill in the coaches poll received 4 of the 6 first place votes. So, obviously they must have a lot that we're not quite up on them as much as our local teams. But, I mean, that's 3 really good teams at the top of that division, or projected to be at the top of that division.
And then don't forget about Pottsville and Blue Mountain.
Yeah,
I mean, those are 2.
They're the 2 biggest schools in the conference, and they've had really good programs over the last couple of years. So, and obviously Lehigh is the defending Division I champ and was undefeated last year. So that we thought last year Division I was going to be a very competitive race. This year, I think it's going
even more so.
Right, and maybe even more balanced and talented overall. It's not that they're going to be 6 teams, pretty much okay teams, all average teams playing together. I think you have some really, really good teams this year, and a lot of them actually.
And you think about last year, even looking back at those polls from a year ago, Pottsville was the team that was picked to be at the top in Division I. So it just shows how fluid things are there and how quickly that stuff can change.
And how 1 or 2 injuries or a couple surprise players, Taquan Bradley Chambers, for instance, at Lehigh, kind of changed the whole dynamic of that team. And you just never know if there's a kid who's a sophomore this year who didn't play as a freshman, or somebody coming back from an injury, or a transfer coming in. It doesn't take a lot to just kind of change the whole dynamic of a race like that.
And you look at thinking about injuries, think about a Marion, a team last year that lost its starting quarterback week 2 against Jim Thorpe, and all of a sudden you move one kid out. Obviously at the quarterback position it's certainly significant, but anytime then when you have to move somebody from maybe a wide receiver spot into quarterback spot, then everybody gets it. It affects everybody. It doesn't matter.
It affects It affects the offense. It affects the defense. It changes starters to reserves to starters, and it just messes with the whole depth of the team, especially at the small schools. We're talking about Division II here. They are even less apt to get over a major injury like that. So. And in Division II, since we're talking about it, Schuylkill Haven was the unanimous choice of the media reps. 14 first place votes for Schuylkill Haven. They won it last year. They seem to be the team to beat. Our 2 local teams in Division II, Panther Valley and Marion. In the media poll, Marion was tied for 3rd with Monterey. Panther Valley was 5th. In the coaches poll, Panther Valley was 4th and Marion was 5th.
So, and again, you think about Panther Valley and Marion, where maybe Marion suffered some injuries last year, didn't finish the way that the Colts wanted to, but how quickly people forget where you have a couple of injuries, it changes the tide, changes the course of a season. Maybe it could swing, obviously, a couple of games the other way, and last season could have been very different for Marion. And with Panther Valley, that's a team that started out 2-0, was in close in some games, was leading Marion late, was tough against Thorpe, up early on Lehigh in that first drive. Now it's a matter of
kind of taking that next step. They had Panther Valley's major issue, as you pointed to, was playing the full 4 quarters, and part of it is depth. You play the Jim Thorpes, the Lehighton's, the bigger, the teams that have a little bit more of a 2-platoon system, and you get worn down a little bit. That's Coach Scott Price's goal this year, is not only to start strong but to finish strong.
And he championed what they did in the offseason, all the 7-on-7 camps that they've been to, and really excelled. The kids have been putting the time in, and I think that goes for all the teams. Just since the end of last season, kids have been doing whatever they could in the weight room, just to try to get ready for this year. But
you talked to the quarterback.
A lot of optimism. Ethan. He saw a lot of time at the end of last season.
I know Scott Price was really high on him. He's kind of the leader in the off-season workouts, and he's hoping to
only a junior
build the team right.
So
and got the 4 or 5 starts at the end of last year. They're hoping to build on him. Marion, we mentioned, quarterback is returning.
Yes, Mason Miller.
Yes. And they have skilled people back. Keith McCall will go from quarterback to receiver.
Back to his regular.
Back at running
back.
Matt
Doherty.
At running back as well. So who knows? Those teams could contend with Schuylkill Haven. It's kind of the second half of the season is when you play your division, most of your division matchups. Big thing for some of the smaller schools is to get through the first 4 or 5 games, the non-league games, without any significant injuries. So when you're playing your league games and kind of building towards the postseason, that you're healthy.
And I think even Tom McCall talked about that with his guys, because obviously there are going to be a whole bunch of new parts and pieces for that squad this year. So get through the beginning, first half of the season, maybe kind of work out the kinks, sort of feel it out, see where you're at, just kind of get a feel for everything, and then once you hit that second half of the season, that stretch run, maybe get hot, have everybody clicking at the right time, and see what happens. So, but that was, I thought, a very interesting day for the Schuylkill County Football Coaches Association Media Day. First time I was there, but it was definitely cool, and you can definitely sense that optimism.
You got
too.
to spend time with Doyle Dietz and Seth.
I did.
That's why it was so cool for you. The dean
legends.
of area football writers.
Those guys, they know more than I'll ever forget. So, but
something like that.
Right?
They forgot more than you'll ever know.
Something like that.
But Lehigh Valley also did something this year, first time ever, and Brad Hurley was there. 3 of our local teams, Palmerton, Northwestern, and Pleasant Valley, were in attendance at that media day. And I know Brad got to talk to some of the coaches, and they're all excited about. They were excited, first of all, to have a media day like this. You have writers from several different newspapers, TV stations, radio stations there. You get to kind of check out, the other coaches, talk to them about what they're doing, and like I said, you get some great coverage for your kids. Everybody, both teams at the Schuylkill and the Lehigh Valley event, coaches brought 2 or 3 or even 4 of their players along, so the players get a little media notoriety there. So it's just a really nice thing, and I think hopefully it'll stick around in the Lehigh Valley as long as it's been going in the Schuylkill League now. Yeah,
and obviously there are a ton of schools there, so there's, I think, just as much interest for all those teams and all those programs as there would be for anything else.
18 teams in the Eastern Pennsylvania Conference, including Pleasant Valley, and they have a new coach this year.
And Matt Kashulik comes from Lehighton, where he's been a part of Tom McCarroll's staff, takes over for Mark Versick for the Bears. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how he sort of adapts to that and what direction the program goes.
Right, it's 3rd different coach in 3 years, I think, at Pleasant Valley, because Versick was only there 1 year or 2 years.
I believe he was there for 2 years.
So 3rd coach in 4 years.
But before that, it was Pacchioni, and then it was Jim Terwilliger. So.
Right, and Terwilliger kind of established a passing, quick, short game, explosive
Think of their quarterbacks
offense
that they've had, and Leap and Keys and Keener.
A lot of skilled people there recently, and I believe I read in Brad Hurley's story that from 2012 up until last year, Pleasant Valley winning record every year, qualified for postseason. Last year, a bit of a down year, 2-8. Another team that got hit hard with injuries.
Oh, big time. I mean, graduation. We knew graduation was going to take away some of their skill guys, but Brandon Keys, who set district, not only area records, but district records the year before as a junior. He went down about halfway through the season. Aiden McHugh came in, did really, really well. But again, anytime you lose your starting quarterback, it changes the whole dynamic of the offense.
Lost a bunch of linemen.
Oh yeah,
had some receivers hurt early. That they never really got in the flow. But
no.
Talk from what Coach Kashulik said at the media day. They're fast again. They're skilled people. I've got a lot of speed. He's looking to kind of build the line, but he thinks they could cause some problems this year.
And I think what's interesting there too is, this is somebody also from out of the program, where they've gone with Terwilliger, and then under Pacchioni was under him, and Versick was under him.
That's
so
a good point.
Now you're bringing in somebody that's got a whole different, I think maybe even approach on, and how he sees the kids in the program, and maybe, just his vision for this team.
Matt was the defensive coordinator for Tom for the last couple of years at Lehigh, and that's one thing Pleasant Valley's been able to do over the last few years is score points, but one thing they've had a little trouble with is stopping people from scoring points. And it's difficult, obviously, playing in the EPC. You've got a lot of explosive offenses, so Coach Kashulik is going to have to face that challenge. But I think, if anything, he's a little more partial to the defensive side of the ball. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of get the Pleasant Valley defense to get to that next level.
And I think that'll be something just to see how everything unfolds, and if the complexion of the offense changes at all. Obviously, like you said, they've been that quick strike pass, not even just pass habit. I mean, it's just
a lot of screens, a lot of bubble screens, a lot of just
get guys out in space.
Get guys in space. Let them do things in the open. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. And you might get a little bit of a peek at what Coach Kashulik's plans are. Brad Hurley interviewed him a few days ago, and we're going to have a story in Friday's Times News on Matt and his thoughts about getting his first head coaching job and what his thoughts are about the Pleasant Valley program. That'll be a good read in tomorrow's Times News.
Yeah, and then thinking about Saturday, we're going to do our annual preseason capsules for all of our area teams, just kind of varsity turnout, practice schedule for next week for 2 days, and then the scrimmage date for each of our area teams. Each team only has one area scrimmage with heat acclimation period now. So that will be Saturday. So with the media day and the Kashulik story, and then our preseason capsules, that'll be
a lot of football.
A lot, and then we have our football tab right around the corner. So that's going to be
23rd. That'll be out the day before the regular season starts. It's not that far off. And speaking of that, 2 other coaches at the Lehigh Valley Media Day from our area, Northwestern's Josh Schneider, Pomeran's Chris Kowiak. The taking out of Brad's story, what I got about those 2, the thought I got is they're both really excited to see what their teams have this year. They both have lost a few key players, but also have several good players back, and I think both optimistic is a good word to use for both those coaches.
And that's a Palmerton team that's been in a district championship game 2 years in a row.
Right.
So obviously they've been right there. And again, Haven is the team that they've come up short to the last 2 years, but it's a tough Schuylkill Haven team.
Right.
And Palmerton's
they've been there.
They're on the doorstep.
Right.
So
they lose quarterback to K.O. Gatus. But they do have lots of skilled people returning, and a solid part of their defense returning. I know Coach told Brad that he's got a senior, he's got a freshman looking to take over that quarterback job. They're going to have they're going to play it out in camp over the next week and a half and see who the starter is. But if whoever wins that starting quarterback position, if they can give Palmer some solid effort there, they could be a force in the Colonial League this year.
And like we talked about with some of these other teams, it could be a piece or two, and obviously that can certainly just swing an entire season. And if you get somebody in there that maybe it was a position that was an unknown at the beginning of the year, You get somebody that comes in there, sort of solidifies that spot, is a steady hand. That could go a really, really, really long way toward determining what kind of a season any program is going to have. I don't think it matters what level they're at, whether they're 3A, 6A, or single A. So
exactly, and when you have the kind of the complementary skill peoples Palmerton has around that position, it makes it easier for the transition. Obviously, Gatus did a lot for them last year, and whoever wins the quarterback battle this year probably won't be asked to do as much as he did. But they have Jordan Nelson back. They have Cody Waterhouse,
Aaron Stasko,
Sabo. First name Andrew Sabo.
Nice.
All of them made whether it was on as running back or receiver, playing defense. They all made big contributions last year, and all of them are back.
Yeah, so that obviously takes a lot of the pressure off of whoever is under center for Palmerton this season. Northwestern has Devin Ballinger back, which,
I mean, that's a good starting point when you're building your offense around Devin. He threw for well over 1,000 yards last year.
Been in there since he was a freshman.
Right.
So that's obviously a huge part for Josh Snyder and that group. And
I think Northwestern was 4-7 a year ago. Lost another team that lost some close games. A number of games could have went either way. Playoff team the year before that. So I'm looking to get back to that level. Kind of turn around some of those close losses and get back to that playoff level.
So that'll be all kind of sort of, I guess, on the docket in the next couple of weeks. I mean, we'll get answers to some of those questions. We'll see really where things stand. We're not going to know until the pads go on, the games start.
Because there's always a surprise or two that you don't know about and you don't expect, but it's not that far away. And also in the upcoming weeks, football, you kind of have a better idea of who everybody has in back because they do a lot of 7-on-7 drills during the summer. They've already been working with the heat acclimation this whole week. All the other schools are going to kick off their practices Monday. We'll be doing preview stories of all those sports. We'll be able to talk to some of the coaches. So in the next week or two, we'll have a little more info on the soccer and field hockey and volleyball teams from the area and be able to give some information on those teams as well.
And looking forward to that certainly just as much as a lot of the football stuff that we've been doing throughout.
We've had a lot of successful fall sports teams. I mean, between Marion volleyball and the Northwestern boy and girls soccer teams, and Lehigh field hockey the last couple of years has been really good. So we have a lot of sports teams that have really done well outside of football in the fall. Pleasant Valley tennis teams lately have been good. We've had some individual golfers that have really done well. So it's just
cross
not going to be about.
Has been,
Jake Martinez, Tina Caparella. We've had
we have Jake coming back. I mean, we have Scotty Zoshin and Weatherly coming back. We have, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, but we have some kids that were really big. Sammy Hydro at Jim Thorpe. I mean, we have some kids that did real well in cross country and track that look to, I think, be pretty big contenders once we hit. Once we hit in the fall.
Football, more than any other time of the season, there's like kind of one dominant sport, and it's football. But at the same time, we have lots of other really good teams, really good individuals that over the next 3 months of sports chat, we're going to have lots to talk about again this fall, I believe.
Yeah, and maybe we can do something a little different, bring some people on, maybe take the show out, maybe go to a school, go to, who knows. Last year I know Justin and I went to the batter's box one time with Panther Valley and Marion, and had some coaches and kids with Pat Morgans and Scott Price. They brought some of their guys.
Had Tom McCarroll and Sam Bonner down here.
Yeah, we had them come in here. So
hopefully do some of that stuff and hopefully spread it out and maybe not do it all on football this year. Maybe we'll get in some of our coaches and athletes from other sports to join us.
I know we also have several first-year coaches too, so it would be nice to kind of spotlight different things. I know Lehigh has a couple, golf, girls soccer, field hockey. The Indians have 3 new head coaches, so so there's certainly a
lot of interest.
Fall's going to have a different look to it, but definitely looking forward to it. So maybe the tripod will be on the move in the next couple of weeks.
Might just be.
But as long as I'm not by myself, but so I think that's everything for now. Anything else for you?
No, we're good.
All right. Glad to have you back. So that's all for this week for Emmett McCall. I'm Patrick Matsinko. Thank you again for tuning into TN Sports Chat, presented by Lehigh Valley Health Network.